No more child actors. Children don't deserve to be exposed to Hollywood. From now on, all children will be portrayed by adults, walking on their knees. Mother. Sarah, it's 10 o'clock, bedtime sweetie. Hugh Jackman in a blonde wig, with pigtails. But mom. Okay, so new movie Sonic is definitely a marked improvement, but are the animators okay? Were they paid well? Did they get to sleep at all? Were there enough of them? Did they get very big bonuses and lots of apologies? Are the animators okay? This is Korean. This is Japanese. This is Chinese. They're different. It all looks the same to me. I feel like if you gave a medieval peasant flavor blasted goldfish, they'd probably die. That Midwest feel. When the tornado sirens go off and you panic for a second before remembering, oh, it's Wednesday. What does this mean? It means it's Wednesday, bro. If a tornado hits on a Wednesday, it can't hurt you. Those are the rules. When you're in a really bad mood and one mildly inconvenient thing happens. Made this post because I accidentally pulled my earbud out of my ear right before my favorite part of Bohemian Rhapsody, and I cried about it. Who else is an anti-stalker? Anti-stalking. Methodically learning another person's routine in order to systematically avoid them. Bradley is anti-stalking his boss today because he hates the bastard. I actually use this when I fled from my apartment due to psycho flatmate. You have a decision to make. You either have heart palpitations or gay thoughts. Why not both? If anyone tries to tell you that Shakespeare is stuffy or boring or highbrow, just remember that the word nothing was used in Elizabethan era slang as a euphemism for vagina. Shakespeare has a play called Much Ado About Nothing, which you could basically read in modern slang as freaking out over pussy. And that's pretty much exactly what happens in the play. It's also a pun with a third meaning. There's the sex sense of Much Ado About Nothing. There's the obvious sense that people today see. And then there's the fact that in Shakespeare's day, nothing was pronounced pretty much the same as noting, which was a term used for gossip. So, Flam Your Over Rumors works as a title interpretation too. The reason we call Shakespeare a genius is that he can make a pussy joke in the same exact words he uses to make biting social commentary about letting unverified gossip take over the discourse. Hey, you're forgetting the fourth thing, that noting, again, pronounced noting, was a pun on music notes, and that's why there's a rest-load of singing and dancing, and puns about singing and dancing, because Much Ado About Noting is basically freaking out over Pussy the musical, gossip making a mountain out of a molehill. Today I learned. Reason 628,293 I love my mom. When we were wee little elementary school kids, my sisters and I loved the Tamagotchi games, but the Tamagotchi required constant attention, right? And we couldn't play them during school, so my mom would bring it to work with her, and she'd do all of her accounting/banking while also feeding 2 Tamagotchi pets. This small serious Asian lady playing Tamagotchi for her daughters. I love her so much. I'm glad people enjoy this post. Men trying to sound not horny by hating women is so funny. Whenever I hear the word thought or e-girl, it sounds like a 12th century man saying temptress. If she breathes, she a temptress. If she breathes, she a temptress. All maidens best fair. Dwarf planet known as the Goblin, discovered on the edge of the solar system. One giant leap for goblin kind. What the F does known as the Goblin mean in the context of discovered here? Did they just ask the next planet over what it's called, and the resident aliens were like, no idea dude, he's pretty quiet, so we don't know, but we just call him the Goblin, and it's cool. Jess, I just have one question. What was the train of thought that led you to put these two images together? An artist never reveals their muse. Who is this? Wrong answers only. Bruce Wayne. The only student in the 5th Hogwarts house. Gun. John Mulaney about to kill Princess Diana. Morally gray. A character who does too much bad to be a good person, but does too much good to be a bad person. Sympathetic villain. A character who is a bad person, but whose backstory / character arc makes you feel sorry for or sympathetic towards them. Anti-hero. A character who does bad things to achieve a good goal. Anti-villain. A character who does bad things to achieve a goal that they believe to be good, but is actually messed up. Just plain annoying. A character who does bad things to achieve a bad goal, but has one throwaway line about a hard childhood that is expected to put them into one of the aforementioned categories, when in reality it just makes them annoying. Sniffs. It's a red, California, excellent year, it's a late harvest, subtle expression of, dare I say, peach. Exquisite aroma. Now I shall cleanse my palate by knocking this glass off the table. Does anyone else subconsciously give letters and numbers a gender, like 4 is such a feminine number, while 9 is definitely masculine? Am I right? And then M is a girl, of course, while J is a boy, you get me. You might have ordinal linguistic personification. Sounds like a fancy linguine pasta. My dad on this day 49 years ago, waking up after getting hit in the head with a croquet mallet, to find out he was unconscious through the whole moon landing. I really cannot stop thinking about this picture, it's so funny. Anyone. We should improve society somewhat. Veterans. You don't get to complain about anything until you've committed war crimes, like I have. Name him. Name your son. Barn water. And so has he been baptized before the Lord. Barn water. Bro, stop chanting in dead languages. You're scaring the hose. I'm summoning the hose, fool. When you learned of the god of war, you thought he'd be tall and muscular and angry. When you were about to meet him, you braced yourself for the worst. You weren't quite expecting the short, scrawny, shy kid you ended up getting instead. Olive skin, black hair, skinny, dirty face with pale lines, where tears had sliced through the ashen dust, a white chiton dress, and a threadbare shawl draped over her shoulders. A pair of wings, huge, black vulture wings, far too large on her tiny body, were the only things that suggested she was divine. The general shifted his weight from foot to foot. Obviously, respect had to be given to gods, but, I'm sorry, I was invoking Ares, the god of war. The child god shrunk in on herself and pulled the shawl over her shoulders. She muttered something. Sorry? The general asked. Ares is the god of slaughter, the child god said in a slightly louder voice. Not war. The general looked at the priest. The priest shrugged, clearly lost at sea. Well, the general said, then maybe Athena? Goddess of tactics and war? Tactics, the child god repeated. Not war. There was a long ugly silence as the huge vulture wings shifted with a whisper of brushing feathers. My name was Iphigenia, daughter of Agamemnon, king of Mycenae, commander of the Greeks who stormed the walls of Troy. When my father disgraced Artemis, and the winds of Greece would not blow her battleships to Troy, I was brought to Aulis. For my wedding, I was told. I was. She sobbed. Teardrops dribbled off her chin, and fell to the temple floor. I was 14. And then I was brought to the highest altar in Aulis, and another sob. I was 14, she said. The vulture wings draped over her, and she disappeared under the cloak of black feathers. When they parted, and when the child god looked up at the general, he fell backwards. Those eyes he'd seen 1,000 times in battle. I'm the true spirit of war, general, the child god said. I'm the goddess of bloodshed, of sacrifice, of the slaughter of innocents. I'm invoked when men ravage, burn and pillage. I'm invoked when mothers cry out, when sons die, when daughters are stolen. I hear it all, general. I have heard it all, since the fall of Troy. The terrible wings opened up. The child god loomed over the fallen man, 20, 30 feet tall. Somewhere, the priest was screaming. How dare you call upon my name?